of the Queensland ALP. Isn't that now looking a possibility?
I think Tim Fischer has been wandering around Queensland putting up a smokescreen over the course of the last month or so, and well he might, because if people in Queensland focused on what actually went through the Senate last time, with the guarantee it gave to validate possibly illegally issued title, with the world's best practice definition for pastoralists, with a really tough threshold test that Aboriginal claimants had to meet, what went through the Senate was a solution.
But
what we now have is a mess, courtesy of Fischer and the Nationals and Howard's weakness trying to take a bridge too far. Now, they have been given a solution and they have spurned it.
Hasn't Peter Beattie, though, undermined your position by saying that this is divisive and that people are heartily sick to death of it and they want the debate over?
This is a divisive debate. People are heartily sick to death of it. They want the debate over and they want a solution. The government had in its hands a solution and it spurned it. It can't provide a solution. It cannot provide a solution that can be upheld constitutionally. What is becoming clearer day by day, given the government's rejection of that very good outcome that it got from the Senate, is only the Labor Party in office can actually provide a solution to this which sticks, that is both fair, that does for the pastoralists and the miners what they need, and preserves the position of the Aboriginals in a way that the High Court would uphold.
But isn't it becoming a problem for you now when you have a state ALP leader expressing concern about the federal party's position on the WIC bill?
Well, when you actually look at what Peter Beattie had to say, when he went into detail, I think his concern was reasonable in the sense that that obviously the thing is providing a distraction and is annoying and worrying people, but his primary complaint was exactly the points that I have been making. There was a solution for Queenslanders there and the government spurned the solution, and he focused in on that and sought to attempt to draw the Queensland's people's view or gaze to that particular proposition. So I don't have a particular problem with Peter Beattie's concerns, except that they reflect my concerns in relation to the way in which this issue is now being debated. When solutions are put up, people are not actually perceiving those solutions.
Well, Mr Beazley, would the Labor Party discipline any senator who abstained from the vote, thus clearing the way for the 10-point plan?
Well, of course we discipline any senator who abstained on a matter that the caucus had determined, and it doesn't matter whether it relates to WIC, it relates to any other particular matter as well. But look, that is baloney. This is Fischer wandering around with a smokescreen, because if ever his people came and focused on what the Liberal Party actually did, and the National Party actually did at the end of last year, they'd be very annoyed indeed. People out there understand that what we have on our hands as a product of that is a mess, and the Howard government is 100% responsible for it now.
Is there any room for more negotiation between Labor and the government? In other words, would you be prepared to modify some of your amendments?
Look at the changes that we were prepared to accept during the course of the debate in the Senate last year. We were the reasonable party. We were the people who were prepared to give ground. We were the people who put up our propositions, but at the end of the day said, well, look, we got 10 or 20% of what we asked for. That will do. We'll go through with it. But there are some areas of principle, you know, the position of the Racial Discrimination Act, which Howard said that he, in the last election campaign, that whatever he did with native title issues, he wouldn't roll that back. That's a point of principle for us. It used to be a point of principle for them. The question of the Aboriginal right to negotiate, that is a bottom line. As far as we are concerned, an entirely reasonable bottom line. It's a time-limited right with the capacity of a ministerial override. It's no great shakes. But these are bottom line issues. But on other things, we are prepared to give substantial ground. They weren't. And as a result, they cannot produce a solution. And if you try to attack what,
well, it sounds like,
I mean,
what you're saying today sounds like we're, you know, deadlock territory. It sounds like we are heading for a double dissolution election.
Well, that is the government's decision. It is the government who wants the election on this, not us. It's the government who has been talking for the last 12 months about double dissolutions, not us. It's us who've been showing the flexibility.
Are you going to be happy, though, to fight a double dissolution election on this issue?
I'm not happy to fight a double dissolution on a race issue. Of course I'm not. I care about the future of this country. And anyone who cares about the future of this country would not be happy to do that. But we are not the people forcing this to that conclusion. That happens to be the government. But let me tell you this, Julie. If a double dissolution election comes about, or any election comes about, WIC won't be the only item on the agenda. We're going to have a range of issues on the agenda that go to the people in this country's concerns for their security of their income, the security of their jobs, the security of their access to health, the security of their access to education, and if they're elderly, security of access to facilities like nursing homes.
Mr. Beazley?
John Howard and this team are not going to get away with a race election per se.
Time for another break. We'll be back for our final segment with Kim Beazley shortly. Mr. Beazley, you lost a high-profile candidate in Wayne Goss this week from Oxley. Do you need another candidate of such sort of profile